So here's the deal. I've never actually had a Super Nintendo when I was a young kid. The Nintendo 64 and GameCube and even later on the Wii were the Nintendo consoles that were out when I was young. However, my girlfriend did have a hand-me-down Super Nintendo when she was a kid, so when the Super Nintendo Mini came out, she was really interested and wanted to get one and play some of the old games that she remembers playing. So I ended up buying one of these at Target for $80, and I know, I was really lucky to be able to just walk into Target and find one. The problem was, other than Super Mario World, none of the games on the system were the ones that she remembered playing. Thankfully, I was able to download HackCheat and load up the system with my legally obtained backups. And we started having lots of fun with the SNES Mini. Now, at first, I wasn't super interested in it because I didn't grow up with any of these games, besides Yoshi's Island and Super Mario World because they were on the Game Boy Advance. But I put a bunch of games on here that neither of us have ever really played before, so we'd have plenty of stuff to mess around with for a while. And I started to get more and more into this Super Nintendo thing. Now, the first thing I had to do, and I would recommend anybody do if you have the money, is to get this wireless SNES controller. The two controllers it comes with are really nice, but the cord just isn't long enough. And on top of that, the home button actually resets the SNES Mini without you having to get up and hit the switch, so that's really nice. The controller also works perfectly well with the Nintendo Switch. It has rumble, not for the SNES games of course, but for the Switch games. I'm not usually a fan of third-party controllers, but for the SNES Mini, I can honestly say that this is better than any official Nintendo option. I'll leave an Amazon link in the description below if you're interested in this controller. This isn't a sponsorship, but it is an affiliate link. But anyway, I'm not here to review the SNES Mini. It's great, and you should really get one if you want one. But I'm here to talk about one particular game that I tried playing, and that game is Super Star Wars. Most licensed games based on movies are hit or miss, but Star Wars has gotten pretty lucky. Most Star Wars games that I'm aware of are pretty awesome. Most recently I played Fallen Order, which was honestly one of my favorite games I've played in recent times. But even before that, I remember playing Star Wars Episode 3 on Game Boy Advance. The game had some issues, but as a kid I really enjoyed it. That game is actually similar in a lot of ways to the game that we're about to talk about. Super Star Wars, not to be confused with regular Star Wars. Right off the bat, this game looks a lot better than I expected it to be. Maybe my expectations were just too low. The Super Nintendo was a huge step up graphics-wise from the NES, and this game is no exception. As soon as you start the game, this pod falls down from the spaceship. I assume it's the one that has R2-D2 and C-3PO in it. Out of nowhere, level 1, the Dune Sea. So I guess Luke was in the pod? You get to play as Luke Skywalker in what looks like some part of Tatooine? You might think this is probably going to be a pretty simple level. Nope. As soon as you start, it's guns blazing. There's no rhyme or reason to the madness. Everything is out to get you right out the gate. This is just the first level, and it's actually pretty hard, but these flying things, jumping things, and scorpion things don't even come close to as bad as the Sarlacc pit. Oh yeah, remember that thing that, finger quotes, kills Boba Fett in episode 6? Yeah, that thing is the boss on level 1. This pit of sand slows you down a lot, and this Sarlacc pit monster can hide underground, pop up somewhere else, and then throw rocks at you, all while you're struggling to walk through the sand. It really just comes down to a pissing match. Who's gonna run out of health first, Luke or the Sarlacc pit? It turns out it actually was C-3PO in that pod. So you finally beat level 1 and learn how the game works, and the next level takes all that and just throws it out the window. You're in a speeder now, and what is happening on the screen? It took me forever to figure out what I'm supposed to be doing on this level. Apparently you're supposed to kill all the Jawas. It doesn't tell you that, you just have to figure it out. And where are the Jawas? Right there and there. How am I supposed to see that? I get it, this is mode 7 and it was revolutionary at the time, and this was as close to 3D as they could get. But really, after barely surviving a fight with a Sarlacc pit, you're going to immediately throw a curveball at me like that? Anyway, I killed the Jawas and drove off to the Sandcrawler. It looks like we're back to platforming again. I walk forward and out of nowhere this arrow starts screaming at me. What do you want? Am I supposed to go up? I was going to try that anyway, but after the initial arrow, it leaves you to fend for yourself. Where the hell am I supposed to go now? How was I supposed to know that you could jump on top of the wheels of this thing? It doesn't look like you can. This level is brutal. It's all about getting to the top of the Sandcrawler without falling. You have to jump across these moving platforms while being shot at, and one false move, and you fall all the way back down to the bottom and have to start all over again. This is the level where I learned that the time limit doesn't mean anything. Well, I mean, it probably affects your score. I fell off this damn Sandcrawler so many times, but eventually I finally made it to the top. And as soon as I made it to the top, more shooting at me. It's unbelievable how many things are trying to get you in these levels. So once you beat that level, you get to go inside the sandcrawler. This level isn't too bad. I learned something on this level also. Throughout the levels, you can power up your blaster to the point where it's like a rocket launcher, and you can keep that forever until you die. You would have thought that a turret or a sarlacc pit killed me. Nope. A laser wall killed me. Yeah, this is one of those situations where not having the original instruction manual probably hurt me. The game tells you the basic controls on the main menu, but it doesn't tell you that you can slide by pressing B and down. So I kept running into the wall because I didn't know what to do. Next up is a pretty standard sand people level, but the level after that one, oh my god, how are you supposed to kill that thing? I had to start messing around with some cheat codes at this point, and so I was able to beat one of them with Chewbacca, I think because his weapon is stronger. Yeah, there are other characters in this game, who knew? Apparently you're supposed to have the lightsaber at this point. I think I didn't get it because I was using the debug mode. After you get past these, there's another speeder driving level. It's pretty much the same thing except you need to kill 20 Jawas this time. After that, you go to this level, the place where Obi-Wan did the mind trick so you can walk through all the stormtroopers peacefully, and yeah, well, guns blazing. You just shoot your way through. There are more stormtroopers on this one level than there are in all of Fallen Order probably. It's freaking insane, but the stormtroopers aren't even the bad part. There are these little spiky plants or rocks or something that will do huge damage if you touch them. But at this one part in the beginning, there's like no way to skip it. This part is too high to jump onto. I have absolutely no idea how you're supposed to get past here other than jumping on top of the spiky plant and taking damage. The next part is inside the cantina. Again, guns blazing. I get that it's a video game and I guess it's just one more scene that they want to make a level out of, but everyone in here wants to fight. And what is this? The Tasmanian Devil? There's also these guys that throw ninja stars, and what is that? This monster is not in the cantina in the movie. I checked Wikipedia. This Kalahar monster only appears in this game, but according to the description, he likes to hang out in this cantina, so sure, go ahead, get in on the fight. Everyone else is beating me up, why not you? Then you meet Han Solo and he agrees to let you use his ship. There's another level kind of like the last one, I just skipped it. The next level is the Death Star hangar. This has to be the most ridiculous level ever. An entire TIE fighter flies across the screen several times. You can't kill it, I don't think. It takes up a ton of space on the screen, so you have to sort of jump over it. There's also these holes that you can fall into, I think that goes to the vacuum of space, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's also these things that I've never seen before. You go through a couple more Death Star levels. The second one is another one where if you fall, you start all over again. My favorite. Once you beat the last two side-scrolling levels, you get to do a dogfight on top of the Death Star where you have to destroy 20 TIE fighters and 20 towers. This is just like the speeder level. But the final level is something totally new that we haven't seen before. You get an inside the cockpit view and there is so much stuff coming at you. You have to shoot down TIE fighters, shoot bullets coming at you, and somehow survive long enough to exploit the Death Star's weakness and blow up the Death Star. You beat the game and you get a Minecraft version of the last scene from A New Hope, and the game ends. So, this game is pretty good. A few of the levels were a bit ridiculous. It seems like there's way too many levels based on the beginning of the movie and not enough based on the real action parts, but honestly, it's fine. It's a video game. It doesn't have to be 100% faithful to the movie, and yet, this game is actually really faithful to the movie. I'm actually quite a bit surprised. This game isn't bad either. It's really frustrating at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's pretty fun. This isn't a bad game at all. The graphics mostly look pretty nice, and I really like the music in this game. I'm not a huge fan of the speeder and the X-Wing levels, but the side-scrolling levels, I must say, are pretty great, with the exception of the ones where you fall all the way to the beginning of the level. Those kind of suck, although I still had fun with those, specifically the Sandcrawler. I have to say, as someone who hasn't played very much Super Nintendo, a lot of these games are much better than I expected. I have dabbled with the original Nintendo Entertainment System, and I'm aware that some of those games are pretty shoddy. So far, most of the SNES games I've played exceeded my expectations, and it's really a nice surprise. But as far as Super Star Wars goes, yeah, it's a good game, especially if you're a Star Wars fan. So if you want to try some Super Nintendo games, give this one a try.